Hey everybody, I'm Tarkov Reporter. Today we're helping little Timmies become labs mains. We had a number of different Tarkov Sherpas teach us various aspects of the game. Today we're focusing on the endgame map, the place where you can find the best PvPers in all of Tarkov and even some of the best RGBers as well. The lab. It's a dangerous place, alright? So we need to bring in a ringer. We brought in a Tarkov Sherpa named Guardian to help us become Chads ourselves. Go give him a follow on Twitch. That link is in the description below. Guardian ran me through some offline raids so we can learn from him. Watch and learn, little Timmy. All right, I'm here with Guardian, an escape from Tarkov Sherpa. He's a labs main, one of the few labs mains on the Sherpa team. Guardian, how are you today?
Good, good. Yourself?
Doing great, thanks. Now we got you in an offline labs raid here. You're gonna give us some pointers on how to run this map. Now, tell me where you spawned here and what your typical pathing route would be from this point.
So, I mean, everybody has different briefing callouts. I call this freezer because you have this beautiful freezer inside here, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
usually, if I get this spawn, I try to go. I always think to myself, all right, most likely they'll be spawning on the opposite side of me in either medical, cargo, server, right? Because I'm pretty much in the midpoint. I mean, they could spawn behind me by main, downstairs, or parking. But normally, I usually just pop through all the way through server because that's like my #1 spot where, okay, one team could spawn inside the server office or they could spawn in the hangar below the office.
Right.
So usually peek in, out if I see anything. If not, I'll usually just go poke my head in case they're slow, if they're dropping, gear for their teammates, whatever it may be. Poke my head down here. If not, I go straight down the server and then I'll take a peek into black and blue, right? Because that's another spawn. People will come downstairs if they have cargo spawn, and then they'll go check blue for a green key card, right?
Okay.
And usually, if they have blue key, black key, or whatever key it may be, they come check blue, loot it, and they'll probably come to black, right? I rarely see people go through blue shortcut to the parking. So they usually come through this route, so I'll be able to pin them down if anything. And then if I don't see anything from this angle and no one's up here, I usually go back up to the second floor, and then I'll take a peek at green.
Okay.
I'll never go this way, right? Always go around, so that way you have cover, right?
Point, yeah.
When you fight.
Now, you mentioned a few different key rooms, black, blue, green. Which of those do you run, do you have currently, and do you run them, like, do you hit these rooms for loot?
So I don't farm till I try to make sure I cleared all the PMCs,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So as of this wipe, I only have black, green, violet. I found black in raid. I found green in raid, and I bought violet for like 2.5 million, which is
Okay,
like
that's cheap, yeah.
a steal.
Yeah. Wow.
My next key will be red. I really don't care about blue. Blue has a LEDX spawn, but honestly, green has a really pretty decent spawn rate, better than blue. But when you do come in here, you always gotta check these shelves for all the stims, and check these little tin containers for the LEDX, right? And all across the tables, bookshelves, and you'll have weapon parts here, and these little black boxes in lab will always spawn you a lunchbox. So if your stomach ever gets blacked out, you'll always get this bunch.
True.
But I mean, yeah, I usually don't farm until I clear the map.
Fair.
Because if I bump into a 5-man team and I already looted black, blue, green on this side, and I'm starting to head over to red, I just gave them all the loot. And especially if they don't have the key cards, you don't want to give them free loot, right? They gotta earn it.
Absolutely. Now, if someone's playing labs for the very first time, what's the first thing you're gonna talk to them about? If this is their very first labs raid.
Learn all the buttons, right? You need
Okay.
to know what button is getting pressed by the announcement. So I'll take you down to the most common ones people will do. Especially if they're coming to labs just to farm raiders, right? Sorry about that jump before. I thought I was max level still and try to make a shortcut.
Wipe has brought you back down to earth, eh?
Yeah, I don't feel like a super soldier anymore.
Oh,
but
too bad.
here's the first button. If you hit it, I'll wait for you guys to. Well, there's the sound bug. So this would be O. this. It's called
Okay.
the medical elevator switch.
Mhm.
Right? You won't see it yet until we actually get to the elevator. This elevator is for that button we just pressed, and we see raiders across the map. So when you do hit O, there is a chance for raiders to spawn at the end,
There they
right?
are. Yeah.
And especially if you're new to labs, you have to be careful with raiders, right? Because they're like, they pretty much use aimbot,
Yeah. No
right?
doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, aimbot, ESP, everything you want to call it.
They're
So,
hacking. Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, pretty much. I think they buffed them this swipey, right? So one thing about fighting raiders, right? I mean, I guess we'll skip to that point, is if they have aggro on you and you peeking them the second time, I would say 70% of the chance you might get one tapped in the head, especially if it's a shotgun user, right? Those buckshots it's pretty scary.
It's nasty.
Yeah. So you see, and you'll know, and you could kind of bait them into a position that to your liking, especially if you're able to quick peek them and kind of get their attention, right? So for now, I'll just leave them so that we could kind of show them a later. So then usually once people farm this area, you have to be careful because PMCs like me or other players, once they hear a button, they'll push to this area, right? So, and in that case, we have to watch out for the switch room where I press the switch because there's a hole, which I'll show you real quick. Because anytime anyone hits O or G, which is going to be the next button called the cargo bell, you have to be careful because if I know they're going to hit G, which is where I kill that raider inside the room, they're going to most likely come down to O, right? So I could either wait here, pop them the moment they run in, or if they hit O first, they're going to go hit G, and I can just easily drop down here, right? This is the method, and you don't break your legs, right?
Nice.
And now I can pretty much shoot them from the back. If they go press G, right?
For sure.
But if they kind of are experienced player, they might wait like that 2 minutes. It's like, all right, let me see if someone's gonna drop down here and camp behind this door, or even just wait down here because you're gonna be too busy running and they'll be expecting, right? Most of the time, you won't find them in. But one thing is this: if they do press O, you need to be careful because Labs has a lot of rats, right?
No doubt.
A lot of rats, a lot of camping spots.
Yep.
And one I showed you right there, here, here, and even here, right? Because the only chance for them coming there is not the only entrance. You have it from here where they could come from main, and they could come down medical staircase as well. Another god rat spot, I would say, would be this corner right here because especially if you're playing a duo. I call this the god rat spot because everyone passes this. You can't see them really. Especially if I'm playing a duo, I have my other teammate run over there and I'm like, all right, I'll hold this position. You press G, they're gonna come either here, or the opposite end. If I'm here, right? Most of the time, they're like, oh, he's probably in cargo room already. So they just run past me. Medical staircase won't see me. And if they do run from the cargo staircase over here, they won't see me till they get to this point. And it's pretty dark here. And especially if they don't got post effects or your brightness up, you're not going to see me that well. Right? So this is the dirtiest spot, I would say, in labs.
That does seem pretty dirty. Now, tell me a little bit about your kit that you run right here. And is this a kit that you normally run when you go labs?
So normally Slick, Hex Grid, Giselle, Killer Armor, 5 to 6, definitely half to minimum 5.
Okay.
Right. I never wear a helmet because it never helps me anyway. This is my concept. I mean, no matter where you see me, I'll always be wearing this kit. The gun will change between the Mutant, which is new this season. The M1A is the most used gun I always have in my inventory, and then the HK.
Okay. I see you're a sexy white armband enjoyer as well, so that's
always. If you I mean this, will always stay with me forever. So most people that play with me or they meet me in labs, they know it's me because they'll just look at these 5 pieces and like, oh, it's Guardian.
Okay, cool. And I assume you're rocking BP there. It looks like it, 7.62 BP.
course. And
Yeah.
I'm especially with Kappa being unlocked until 71. This is my current setup. I really always have my document case, right? Because Intel's, Bitcoins, flash drives, SSDs all go in here, right? And any other key cards. CMS kit, very, very cheap. So I don't really care about that being in my Gamma container. Um, and always need extra bullets, right? Because these raiders don't like dying. And you know that. So in a sense, also like, if you do meet another kitted player and they're wearing a slick, it's gonna take some rounds, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're not hitting them in, slick, or if they're wearing like, killer helmet or along the lines of that. And you can see that raider already took about 5-6 hits and he just ran away like nothing happened.
He's a
So you always
god.
gotta be prepared. Yeah, it's like you don't want to spend too much time fighting a raider. But I'll take you to the next room.
Okay.
And this is the cargo bell switch, right? So if you hit this, you hear the announcer say G, right? So O and G are the downstairs. And then on the opposite end from us, we have the main switch, right? Main elevator. And I'll take you over there. And remember, when you do press O and G, the raiders also have a chance to spawn down this hallway.
Okay.
All the way to the end. And the opposite hallway we saw before. And then this is what we usually call dark. Connector from medical to main. And I mean, honestly, I don't know what other people call it. Like when I play with my Korean buddies, we call these the 11s because it's just parallel lines, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then right behind us, we have something called the mixer. And then this would lead into the sewage. So raiders already spawn. So after a certain amount of time, they will spawn randomly, even if you don't hit a button.
Yep.
And the more buttons you press, they could spawn randomly most of the time anyway. I just want to see if this raider would just hit me in the head once by running down this line, but... So one thing, you saw that raider somehow blacked out my arm, right? And shooting through this is not the easiest, right?
No.
And in Tarkov, raiders could shoot through anything, and for us, when we shoot through a PMC through these, barricades, it's nearly impossible, right?
100%. Yeah.
So here is the main elevator down there, and I'll lead you guys to the power switch first, and then show you around. This is also another spawn, so you have to be careful. So let you guys hear the announcer. So, I mean, a lot of people say it's L, R, but I think it's L. But that switch will activate this elevator where I pointed to you guys before. We call this little server or server, main server, and elevator. Another thing is downstairs here, there's multiple PMC spawns, right? You could actually spawn right here. You could actually spawn in that door over there while taking a second, and back down there, and the sewage, right? Sometimes what I've noticed was if I spawn behind those where it leads to the sewer, sometimes I'll bump into a PMC spawn right here, right? Because they spawn here and they'll come out, and next thing you know, we're already fighting.
Okay.
Another tip is this door is never open, so you'll know raiders came by this way if this door is open. They just leave it open and have no respect for the map, right?
Oh my god, the worst. Now, when you're taking on PvP fights on this map, what would you tell someone who's brand new to PvP on labs? Because it's a little, I feel like it's a little bit different on labs than anywhere else. Someone who's taking on PvP for the first time in labs.
It depends. Are you playing solo? Are you playing duo, trio, quad? Right?
Let's start with a solo player, and then we'll move into
solo player. Okay, solo player. Like I said, you need to know all the button switches, where they are, so because you're gonna be moving a lot. You're gonna be flanking. You're gonna be putting yourself in a scenario where you always need to change your position so that way the other team is always going to get confused, especially if they're not a solo player and there's like a 5-man queue, and you know it could become hell when you run a 5-man in
Right.
Tarkov, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The
So you're
the
using
comms
that
get
to
real
your
rough.
advantage.
Yeah.
Yes. So you need to use that to your advantage and confuse them, right? So I'm just gonna finish loading this mech, and
Yeah.
I'll show you an example of what
For
to do
sure.
in a scenario.
Yeah, you want them saying,
So
"Is this you? Is this you? Is this me? Me?"
that's the
Yeah.
whole scenario you want to play out. So if I was fighting, let's say, a team in main, right, and I'm coming down from parking, which I'll show you in a second, and I'm just cruising, I'm just looking for raiders or PMCs, and I see them over there, I'll take a few shots, throw a nade, and then I'll run, right? Because now they're gonna come. Oh, it's only one guy. Let's go chase them. Usually I'll just close this door, right? Just close all the doors, and then I'll just open one of these, right? Because now I could play it two ways. Now it kind of looks like I went out this way, and then I wait for them to come up, because you're gonna hear the metal staircase, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
But you gotta be careful, because you have a long way to run, especially if 5 of them come up here and you don't get that first guy, right?
Yeah.
You're putting yourself in a difficult situation,
For sure.
right? And I don't really like carrying nades, but it's very, it's good for you to push, and also, buy you some time to make some space between players, right? I just feel like every time I throw a nade, I get caught off guard and they push me at the same time, and it never works out for
For sure. I'd say most of my
me.
player kills come when the other guy's throwing a grenade. He's like mid animation, and I hit him in the head. Like,
Yeah, pretty much. So in my scenario, I would probably not hold this angle, right? I would usually play out here and then, wait for them. That way I have this door as a barrier and I could easily run away, right?
Mhm.
So depending on what doors they open, or if I want to play it a little bit safer where I want to be able to shoot them as soon as they come up, I have the door open now. So the moment I hear metal, I can easily spray their heads when they come up, right? And they won't be able to spray me as easily because they're too busy sprinting up me and chasing, oh, let's go get that one guy,
For
right?
sure.
So if I'm able to get one or two, and I know it's a 5-man team, I'm moving again, right? I'm moving up. Now, here's a scenario. What's their play style? Are they going to keep chasing me, or are they going to hold their position there because it's like, oh, he's
Yeah.
pretty good, or he's hacking. They're confirming my name or whatever it may be.
Yeah, they're camping the body, maybe something like that. Yeah.
Pretty much, it's like, oh, he has to come get this loot sooner or later, or they might take the teammates' loot and then just exit.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'll give it 30 seconds. I'll wait right here because I have the advantage when they come up to get one or two, and I could easily, change my angle again and then fight again, right? If they're the ones that are just gonna camp the body, I could always take a peek in there and fight again. If not, I can easily switch my position and go behind them, because if you know the map, you can actually go back downstairs where we hit the main switch, and then now I can wait for them to come here if they heard my footsteps. So sound play is very important in labs. Like, you need to know where metal is, where wood is, and where concrete is, right? So if they don't know I went around, and they're still sitting at that staircase, now they're the ones that are trapped, because I have this whole playground where I could just go back and forth and pick them off from here and go back around again and play tag with them, right? Until they're all dead.
You briefly mentioned, maybe they reported you for hacking or something like that. And hacking is something that we deal with, especially on labs. How do you deal with hackers?
How do I deal with hackers?
Yeah, like what's your game plan if you think there's a hacker in your raid, or you felt like something was a little sus?
So, I mean, I've been playing Tarkov 5-6 wipes, and like I pretty know like how people play in labs and what angle they can shoot me from, and is that shot possible, right? That's the question you always ask yourself. If I'm playing solo, I mean, I have like my own Discord where it's like I have hackers' names, right? Because I've bumped into them multiple times, and they're just killing me the same method over and over again. But you'll know, number one, most of the time they come in with a non-modded M4 and an MA55s and just one tap you through the wall, and you're done. You can't even move, right? So this is also another funnel method. If they do come around and chase you, you're just waiting for them. You have the peeker's advantage. But hackers, honestly, I just usually, leave. I'll report them if I see them multiple times. And, for viewers' sake, I'll look up the name and it's like, oh, level 5. Okay. Level 5 come in here shooting everyone in the head. You hear them just going boom, 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 and the whole map's clear. And you'll know easier if it's a hacker, especially like if you're in a 5-man team and you all just drop dead, right?
Yeah.
And you had no one in sight. I mean, last season I was in red and I just got shot through the door. And remember, you can't get into red without the key card.
Yeah.
And there's just no way you could die unless they have it and open it, right? So, I mean, that is your fair share of labs. I mean, I would say at least, depending on the time you play, you're going to bump into a hacker possibly maybe 30% of your games, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Unless they got the buses loaded and they're trying to feed everybody, right? It all depends.
No doubt.
But,
okay.
I mean, speaking of red, I'll take you there right now.
Let's do that.
As long as I don't get killed.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Raiders are scary. Yeah. So, I mean, we call these Arsenal staircase, red staircase, because it's closest to the red room.
Ooh.
So,
was not screwing around.
Yeah, see, they barely touch your armor. It's always, they always get your crucial parts.
Yeah.
And they just want you to die. And, it's at the time. Also, one thing is, like, if you're the one last survivor on the map, most of the time Raiders just come out and they just have like a fiesta, right? They just want to kill you because they know you're the only one in there. All right. And I don't know how he survived still, but you see that shotgun? That's the most scariest Raider that you're gonna deal with on labs because that buckshot will kill you from all the way back.
Even regular AI scavs with buckshot, man.
Oh yeah,
nasty.
Dude, they're the ones that always get me. I'll just be cruising. I just kill like 4 PMCs and boom, I turn a corner, buckshot to the head. I'm like, okay. Even if I wore Alton, I know I would be dead because it's the buckshot scav, right?
Yep. Got here.
Another thing is like fighting at this distance with a razor is tough because I have the worst advantage because they're already there. And normally I would just pretty much go around and then just kill them because you rather get closer than, fight far away from them because, like I said, we declared they're aimbotters and they're ESP users, right? So obviously we knew they're above me. Easy way to get them, go back up the parking staircase, right? And then shoot them right up close. So like I said, you're always moving. As a solo player, you're always moving. Pretend you're dealing with PMCs like these Raiders are. And always keep changing your direction. Oh. He's alive still. This is what I'm talking about. Perfect example.
Oh, he wrecked
Perfect.
you.
Yes, perfect example of why Raiders with a shotgun is scary. I mean, I showed you, I survived it, but just wanted to show you guys that. But let's take you guys to red. He actually might come chase me, so I might take care of him real quick.
Go for it.
Before, yeah, he comes to red and then, surprises me.
Do you ever bring a more long-range scope or sight into the labs, or do you mostly go with short-range reflex stuff?
I always use the hollow sight.
Yeah.
I see multiple people using the voodoo and the burris. I just can't. I don't have the patience to hold a position. And it's a hit or miss, right? If I'm playing with somebody else, I might bring it depending on, are the lobbies hot, are the lobbies empty? Because, certain peaks at a time, like you might only bump into one guy, right? And it's easier for me to just run around. And especially if I'm playing with another guy and, he kind of plays a little bit more relaxed where it's like not so fast paced.
Yeah.
Then maybe I'll tack on, a voodoo. But most of the time, it's just me and this hollow, right? This is I think one of the best sights. Like PKO6, they nerfed it. It looks hideous.
Yeah, that's the
And
three dash.
I
That's the
was
three
not,
dash
yeah.
O.
PKO6.
No,
Oh, this
the
one, yeah,
three
3 dash
dash
O. Yeah,
O.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
yeah. I've never liked the PKO6. Number one, before they nerfed it, the dot was way too small and the hollow was just way too tiny. But this is my sight for pretty much any gun. And you see more raiders spawn, so it's like, they just really don't want me to go to red.
Let's talk a little bit about squad play in labs. Do you do a lot of squad play? Like, it doesn't have to be large groups, but 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you think is a good group size for labs? I know 5's a bit chaotic sometimes.
Yeah, so I do play squads here and there,
Yeah.
right? I think perfect for labs is like duos or trios, right? In any map, period. It's just communications are easier, and especially if like, hey, what's their knowledge base on labs too? Because that changes your gameplay style.
Yeah.
If they're all aggressive, that works for you now because you could have someone clear the basement, first floor, second floor, easy, right? As a duo, you guys stick together, and practice social distancing. That way, you guys could cover each other's backs. But at the same time, you're moving faster and you could trade if I do die, right? I'm usually the first guy just pressing shift all the way through. And, if I die, they could easily trade. But squad play is different, right? So I have a lot of people that like to farm. So they go strictly for the LEDX. They go strictly for, red room if they have red key and they get the Bitcoins or whatever that comes out from there that they need. But for me, they all know my playstyles. I'm going to go find whoever I can from the opposite spawn side, or if they're going to press any button. And also, I don't like going more than 3 because I want to have more PvP action. Because if I come in with a 5-man, I rarely see another 5-man. I might see like 2 solo players, and then it's like it just cuts the fun in like, it's like whoever gets to that PMC first will have fun, and then you got to deal with, these hacking raiders that just shot at me.
Oh, damn.
See, like, yeah, and that's that same shotgun guy. You see, like, he's hitting me through the window.
This guy hates you.
Yeah. And that window is supposed to nerf the damage, and look what it does to you, right? I mean, that is a change he did here, Black windows were never penetrable, all right? Now they are. And pretty much weapon testing windows were not penetrable, but now they are. That changes the whole game because last wipe, you had grenade launcher users camp inside black and then shoot through the little window and kill everybody outside. Not sure if you recall that, but that was so. I think that's worse than an actual rat camping with a KS shotgun, right? But I mean, group play. I mean, 2-3 is my preference. 5 is only if I'm gonna bring like brand new players here and they need like a quest item or some raider experience. What do you have next for me?
So you run a specific gear set for this? Are there other gear sets that like you run mostly in either an M1A or a mutant? What other sorts of gear sets are viable here, like in terms of guns and ammo types?
Guns and ammo types. Remember, ammo is always your number one, right?
Yeah.
You don't gotta bring a full modded gun, but ammo is your best friend. So you have, even when I first started this wipe, I came in with a hunter, right? M80s, fully still usable. When you fight a PMC, it'll be tough. I mean, because you gotta land those headshots, and especially if they're wearing like level 5 or 6, it's gonna be a little bit more tough for you. But for dropping raiders, hunter M80, you can even come in with a Mosin and run SMBs, and play it slow. If you want, come in with an AK, 74U, but make sure you have the good rounds, right? Every gun is viable. Like, honestly, like I said, I came in with a hunter with, the scope on it, and then anytime I fought a raider, I would take the scope off and then get close and shoot them. If there was a PMC, and I would try to play a little bit further because I know I have a weak gun, and then they could be kitted. So I'll try to pick them off, and if I see that they're not as fully kitted, I'll take the scope off and then get close, right? 10 rounds of M80, if they don't die after eating all of that, I mean, I don't know what to say.
For sure, for sure.
But I always tell people, I'm like, look, you could come into lab with any gun. It's just how you play against the other PMC. Because I've seen people come into labs with a KS shotgun and shoot people in the legs, right? And, they could clear out the whole lobby.
For a new player who's taking this map on for the first time, what sort of loot should they prioritize after they've cleared the map, hopefully, and they've done a good job. They've killed some raiders, maybe some PMCs. What sort of loot should they be prioritizing here?
So if they don't have any keys, right, you got to go after the lead X's, right? You have to, and especially like beginning of the wipe, don't even bother looting nades, right? There's 3 offices on where I'm looking straight at the opposite end. You can loot the computers, take the CPU fans. They go for like, 30 to 40K beginning of the wipe, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
PSUs, sure. I would say for later, because they only go for about 40, 50K. So for space wise, if you're only taking up 1 slot, CPU fans are your best bet, right? The LEDX that spawns inside the dome on the first floor. Let me actually take you to the route, right, that you're gonna need if you're a newbie in labs and you don't have any keys, right?
Okay.
You have the streamer cage, which is what they call it in here, right? You have fuel tanks, blue and gray, that spawn here. Fire clean, which was going on for like 200-300K at one point. And this is like, it's always a good spot to check. Intel prices did drop down a lot this way, but here's a spawn on top of this table. And on these tables, you also have chances of the dry fuel, which is always good. It goes for like 50 to 70K. There's also another Intel spawn on this table. And, I would say this side is also very good, is because this is where I got my first black key card this wipe on top of this table, right?
All right.
And you'll know it's there, right? It sticks out.
Yeah, for sure.
You have a chance for RFID spawn on top of this computer and an Intel file also. And, a lot of people rush here because you have a LEDX that spawns on top of that barrel. This wipe, I did not see a graphics card spawn in this map, but they used to have it spawn. But you'll have a couple of tech stuff on top of these boxes and on these tables. An Intel and a VPX does spawn on this bookshelf. Intel can also spawn on this table. You have a DFib spawn on here. And on this table as well, and an RFID spawn here also. These are the offices I mentioned with the computers. First floor T office, and then you have the second floor. I usually call them yellow because it's right by yellow staircase, and this one by green.
Mm-hmm.
And this is called parking shortcut. And then that's blue shortcut I labeled earlier. And then another spot you always have to check as a noob is get that green card, right? Get that green key card that has a chance to spawn. So anytime you spawn in the staircase on the second floor, you're coming in here and checking this table.
Okay.
Always. I want to get to the raiders I killed so I could kind of show you how like the loot process is.
Yeah,
they just
for sure.
keep coming nonstop. So let's see what I can do. You about to say something?
No, it's just, there's like seemingly a never-ending pile of raiders right now.
Yeah, I've never had these many raiders come out, and honestly, they don't stop. And one thing they did change recently for this wipe is the raiders don't come with IFAKs anymore. So that is a huge disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
Because if you run out of heal items, your best bet is to kill a PMC. If there is one. So let me go back to the raiders that I killed up here and then kind of show you how to loot and what to prioritize, right? I just feel like that shotgun raider is somewhere around here waiting
Oh,
for me.
100% he is.
Yeah. So this is another office with the Intel and computers. So obviously I don't have a bag. This shotgun is actually really good to take away for these the handrail, and you could put a lot of stuff on there, right? And depending on what bag you bring, right? So if I had a raid backpack, I know I could fit 4 of these rigs, right? Or I could do, 4 azimuths, 4 black rocks, like 4 LBTs and a long gun without folding it. So what I always do is get the best rig, right? And if I have, I'm gonna pack 2 of these. I'm gonna pack the most of these because for the space wise is the best. Raiders don't come out with BlackRock, so your best bet is this rig or the LBTs, which I think is probably the best because you could put 2 helmets in there. Let me see if one of them have a backpack. If not, I'll just load into the next raid with a raid bag. Yeah. So as you can see, he's still somewhere. But let me just load into a new one with a raid backpack.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
That way I could show you better, and that shotgun raider could go back to sleep.
All right, so we're gonna go through some of the looting process and some of the extracts to close out here.
Perfect. We've resumed at the same spot minus the raider.
It's a nice reset, actually. No shotgun.
Raider, I mean, right now there's no raider, so I'll definitely go over the extracts first, right? So the closest extract. So when you press O twice to see everything, parking and hangar are 50-50. You're either gonna be able to hit them to extract and spawn raiders, or you won't be able to. So in this scenario, we're able to. And usually when you hit this, the letter is Y, and they either come out from the parking gate majority of the time. They could come from parking short, or even below cat. So that centerpiece we usually call cat, and then first just call it below cat. So they spawn pretty much anywhere. That's one place you could extract once the doors are fully open, and you saw that raider over there. Another spot that you could go to with the switch is called hangar. I showed you. Raiders are all over the place already.
They want you bad.
Yeah, they're like savages right now.
No doubt.
Yeah, maybe I should take care of the group here before. All right, he's running away. So let's just go to hangar then. So hangar and parking are they're adjacent from each other. This is where you hit hangar button. And this one, I would say out of the 2 switches is the easiest to clear the raiders because of the space. Especially if you're going to do a little bit of raider farming, you can honestly just hold this angle right here and then just wait for them to come out. If they don't spawn here, you always have to be careful because they might come out from the double doors over there. And they're not always guaranteed to spawn, so it's a hit or miss.
Okay.
So those are 2 options that are 50-50. I'll take you to the sewer, which is, I guess, your safe haven, right? Your best bet if you want to extract and no one's gonna come bother you.
Yeah, for people doing the guide, that's probably where they want to end up.
Yes. This is also another LEDX spawn, so always remember that. But yes, that is a very famous guide. I'm gonna sit there for 7 minutes and no one's coming here.
I'm gonna search my buddy's backpack and get that XP, and then
pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So there's multiple areas to the basement, right? So this leads you to the 11 that I showed you earlier, and I remember from the beginning I showed you to the left was the sewage and to the right was the mixer. So you have multiple ways to get into there. And the sewage is right here. And this is the first entrance. There's another door. And then there's another door all the way at the end where, towards the main elevator.
Okay.
And this takes 90 seconds, if I remember correctly, to actually go all the way down and hit the switch here. And then you need to sit over here once the water is down. And then you'll be able to extract through the sewage.
Okay.
Let's say there is, someone fishy on the map and you're not close to the sewer, I will show you another spot. It's actually called the ventilation shaft, right?
Oh, this
And
is
you
the no
can't wear
backpack one. Yeah, okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
the no backpack. I mean, for me, it works out. I don't carry a bag to labs. Try to find it from raiders or other PMCs. So that way, I don't stand out, you know. And not a lot of people use it, but I mean, if you found a green key card, a black key card, or a LEDX, and you really need that for like a quest, especially the LEDX, you need your thick case and you need that in raid. Some people will, just hide in a dark corner, right? And not press a button because you don't want to have any attraction, right?
Right.
And this right here, this pipeline is your extract, right? So, I mean, right now I'm wearing a bag, but right here, right? It's a little longer than the other ones, 14 seconds. But honestly, you could probably sit down here and nobody will pass you for a good 7 minutes because there's no good loot down here unless they're raider farming. But even if they are raider farming, you can honestly just sit right here. And if they poke their head out, you have the advantage to shoot them. And if you hear them coming down this angle because they want to see if the raiders spawn here, even if you sit here, unless they push you, you still have the advantage to just pre-fire them if they do come extract.
All right.
I think I covered all the extracts. We got one more. So if you recall me pressing that other button in the middle,
That was med block, yeah. Or which one?
So the middle room is cargo, and then the med block is
okay.
all the way through.
Yeah, I remember.
And then the G switch is this elevator.
Okay.
So that you got to recall that. This one is a one-time use. So the moment you extract, nobody else can use it. All the elevators you can press and, leave whenever you want.
All right. I think that covers all the extracts.
Yeah, definitely. Most used ones probably main and medicals or parking hangar, depending on where they leave their bags. You always gotta loot and keep switching bags so that way you could keep moving faster and you don't get delayed. So that's one tip. I guess we could get to the looting portion, right?
Yeah,
I see a bunch of raiders over there. So as a beginner, I'm gonna always come hit these safes, right? There's two safes, one on this side and then one on the opposite side. So from here, it's like, okay, I could take all of it. Diary goes into the dock case, so you have more space, right? And rule of thumb is loot everything, throw it out, depending on what comes out next, right? And another good thing about this map, there's a lot of duffel bags, and this duffel bag can actually spawn pretty much anything that fits in there, right? I've gotten bitcoins, graphic cards, and lines out of that duffel bags. So it's always a good thing to search all duffel bags, as long as you know there's no raiders or PMCs around. But,
sure.
These safes.
That one's a little exposed.
Mm-hmm. And, these safes they pretty much guarantee a decent amount. And these bookshelves, too. The gold chain, regular chainlet. I've actually found bitcoins on these shelves. Very low chance, though. Very low chance. I like to actually take these gold chains because even if you sell it to therapists, you still get a decent amount. Or if you want, you could swap it for a Giselle, level class 5 armor. And you'll find a bunch of coffee in here, too. So you only need 2 chains and 3 coffees, and that's level 5 armor for you right there for a barter trade. Never skip these containers, right? I've gotten multiple slicks out of these boxes. And your handy dandy lunch boxes. And those are the priority items you always have to check, even though you farmed everything, killed all the raiders. And then you go inside managers. If you have the key, it's very cheap. It's like 80K, 90K. And, managers has a chance to spawn Bitcoin, Raven, Lion, Cat, Rolex, GP coin. Even guns there, like an MP7 and an M4. And there's also a safe box over there. I could go over there, but I feel like a raider's going to pop me in the head, but let's take a gamble. All these glasses are, penetrable, so you got to be careful. There's also a intel spawn where my laser is pointing right here. As a solo player, I would probably save manager for last because people will aim at your head and just kill you in one shot. loot spawns down here, and then you have up top here this weapon box there, and then you have the safe that I mentioned down here. Like I said, very high risk, high reward location, especially if you haven't cleared the map yet.
3
because
faces.
yeah, I'm done. You know, and like remember, there's always the bullet penetration of the damage being reduced, right? I'm dodging bullets like Neo over here, but so fighting raiders, right? Like you heard metal, so they have to be around this area, right? And there has to be more because usually they run around in like 2 or 3. So they're on this region right here. Like a sound play is like key in Tarkov, right? And if that's the only one, okay, I got shot from the other end. So I think I'm clear of raiders for now. So rigs, that's what I mentioned before.
Right.
MK1 is okay, right? So it's because remember it's too well. About to be rudely interrupted in a second.
You saw him up top.
Yeah, he's on the wood. He's just playing with me. So let's just go get
Teasing
him.
you a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you know. And then we got some in the parking. All right, they're everywhere.
Oh my God, they're all over the place.
All right, you know what? Let me just go back to farming. If they come, they come. We'll just deal with them. But right, rig is 3x3. You know, compared to the Azimuth, which is gonna be 3x4. And for guns, right? You already know this AK is gonna be like BP round, right? You know, it already has the Valdi on it, so that's gonna sell for 50, 60K. If I see a PP Keter, I'm only taking off that, Keter RIS. Because even though the PKO6 did drop in value, it's it's still money, right? It's still 10K in your pockets, and the flashlight if you sell it's like 16K. And for me, I always take the ghost mask, right? Another thing you could do is if you do find a better gun, right? Maybe they might come with a fully kitted M4, the Raider M4s. You just take off the scope off the AK, and then you just equip it onto the M4. Because I play a ring around the rosy with me. So in that scenario, always check these tips. Always, it's either going to be tracer rounds or it's going to be the BP rounds. If I know that the Raider has M4, I'm just removing that Cobra mount by itself and the M-Lock 2.5 and the suppressor, right? And then you just throw away the gun. And you could usually, most of the time, stick these onto your gun, and it's just a placeholder, right? Unless you start getting fancy and you start bringing your own hand grips where you could add multiple attachments to that. You could do that later on. And since the M-Lock 2.5s don't really cost as much, you could attach it to the Cobra, right? So free up one space. And when it comes to, organizing, obviously get high valuable items and try to remember what you put into the rig. That way it's easier to clean when you get to that period, right? So like something like a chainlet and gold chain. Chainlet I'll keep on the outside and replace it later because this is very cheap, right? All right, he's probably going to take forever to come here. So this guy right here is a Thunderbolt. This is also a decent rig. So you also have to remember what guns can you take and make them smaller. So RFV is probably like one of the best guns, right? Once you take out the mag cartridge, you have a 1x4. So
yeah,
this
that's
is like
great.
a very convenient spot, right? And, I'll take the Thunderbolt regardless because I could still fit more in this 3x3 and you get additional slots, right? And I could call this, all right, trash bucket vest, right? Because now I know these are low priced items in here. And depending on other PMCs, depending on what bags they bring, right? You can backpack stack to your advantage. Or if I know that I'm already overweight and I know it's going to affect my stamina and I know Raider's going to be following me nonstop, I'm going to empty this, right? I'll actually, okay, closest area to me is parking, but I know there's Raiders there and possibly other PMCs, right? I'll honestly, if I already open parking and I know that's going to be an extract later, I'll go to this bathroom right here because no one's gonna go in here. I mean, if they do, that's weird. There's nothing in there for him. So I'll just empty all this. Now I'm back where I could now regain stamina while fighting. And that way I also have a fresh bag so I could pick up loot and, you know, dump, go back, and depending on how much time's left and did I loot everything and organize and extract.
Okay.
Right? But your high priority items are one slotters. How much do they cost? Like, right? If I found a golden star, you know, peak during the mid season, it's going to go up to 100 to 150K per golden star. So that's definitely going in my bag, right?
Definitely.
The defibs that spawn here, mules, ETGs, melodonins, all the stims except for like morphine. Right? Morphine and adrenaline, it's like you sell to therapists. It's only going to give you like 10 to 15K.
Pretty cheap.
At that point, I'd rather just take like a VOG 17 because it's probably more useful to me than the morphine. And since we're still like, you know, early wipe, weapon parts are very crucial, and you need to know which ones are the money makers, right? So if you have the weapon testing key, and you know there's the red buffer tube in here, or the new suppressor, and you know you're always constantly checking the flea market, you should always prepare to take those items with you.
Oh my god!
Aim punch so hard there. So this is why you know have to come in with good armor, because that's like absorb most of it, right? But also, you know, normally you would just wait for the raiders to kind of walk by and just get them instead of peeking your head out, because that raider right here pretty much could have killed me the moment I peeked out.
Yep.
But, you know, luckily this is just for show and we're not doing anything crazy.
Definitely.
They brought, you know, gear for us, right? And if you can, like, depending, they will come with good armor, right? And I obviously didn't see because he's right here, but like most of the time they could bring you, you know, a Gen 4 full, or, you know, the other Gen 4 without the arm protection. You rarely want to bring this out because you're going to be so slow unless it's like a perfectly full one, but they don't really go for that much. But always take LZAs, ULACH, or the HCs, because if you find the LBT, you could put 2 of them inside the rig, right? And that's a ULACH. A perfect ULACH is ranges from like 60 to 90K, right? And then the LZs and the HCs, you could just sell to Ragman for like, you know, 40K, and then you're still getting good profit, especially if you don't get all the loot that you need. Always check these drum mags because they could be full of Eagle Neck, right? If it's BT still a high priced ammo, go sit inside weapon testing, unload everything. That way you have more space, and it's only gonna take up 2 slots. All right.
Okay.
Headsets, eyewear, I mean, you don't need to take any of that. Grenades, like I said, usually just take it towards the end if you need to fill up some slots, or if you want to just level up your strength. And Raiders just came out again. So one thing to remember is when you throw nades, it's only going to help you if you only throw 12 in one raid. So just remember, there's no point of you spamming 50 nades.
Right, yeah.
But it's also another way to find out where raiders are.
Yeah.
Let me just take you back over here. So this is black. I think I only showed you guys green before. So black is, you know, only stims, right? You got to check these chairs on the floors. There's one over there on top of these boxes and inside this room, because it could be on the hospital bed or on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
These glasses now you could shoot through, so you don't want to be in here. You got to be in and out real quick. Another tip is if you are and you know other players are coming from underneath managers, you can actually have the advantage and shoot them through this little peek.
Oh, that's cheeky, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's cheeky. I mean, I like to peek out, but if you have the patience, you can actually clip them, you know, before they even get to you.
Wow.
And then I'll take you to blue real quick. You gotta show them, you know, if they possibly get a blue key card and they need a LEDX, you know. So I don't have the blue key card, but the moment you open it, you'll know if there's a Ledex because it'll spawn on top of these little medical carts, I would
Okay.
say.
Yeah.
But blue has stims also, Grizzly, survival kit, CMS kit, all your medical supplies.
Awesome.
One thing you do have to be careful is the rendering in this game,
Mm.
especially if you're coming from server side. As you can see, it looks like there's no doors. All right. So definitely don't want to use this, especially if you're a streamer, because you are pretty much abusing a bug. I would say that. So most people will abuse this because they're not streaming. They can actually kill you before you even open the door.
That
Because
sucks.
the moment
Yeah.
you get a little closer, now you see the door, right?
Yeah.
But for him, he knows where your head is because he doesn't see anything.
Mm.
I never try to stay there. You'll always catch me pushing because I don't want to be caught using that little advantage. So another tip for anybody that's in server.
Yeah. Be careful. Shit.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. So usually you'll come around this line and just open the left door, right? And just keep this right door closed because it doesn't matter, because now you can peek and you'll see them like they see you, and you have the somewhat of the advantage.
Okay.
Also, shooting through these gates are pretty hard, so definitely try to get in the open when you do fight someone inside server. Or if you have good rounds, it will pierce. But if you're using, MP7 and, Sonic rounds, good luck.
For sure. All right. Well, I think that covers all the questions that I had to ask for you, Guardian. Is there anything else that you want to add before we close out?
Definitely, if you're gonna come to labs, I would say try not to camp or play like a rat, because it'll be hard for you to learn how to play against, people that main labs, right? Because a lot of people will pre-fire, a lot of people will check the spots that a lot of people can't, because it's a small map technically, and all the spots are very, I guess, a lot of people ran the map. They've died to the people in those camping spots multiple times. Try to, I guess I could give you one more tip about a spot in labs that you could use. All right. So if you ever do come out from server and, you're waiting. So most people, I'll tell people that are not familiar with labs, is to pretty much hold this spot right here. Let me get out of the Raiders view for a second. Oh, I'm probably dead here. Okay. So basically, if I jumped on top of, that little platform, I can pretty much see everyone that's going to be coming through yellow, passing by parking, and kitchen. Oh, yeah. They love me today. But yeah, right? Play by sound, play by, I guess, a little bit more tactical to save yourself, right? Especially if you're really afraid of like fighting raiders or that's another dangerous thing.
Malfunction?
Yeah, so make sure you have that key binded so you don't have to do shift T. And you won't run into that issue, because
what do you key bind it to?
So I have it as mouse button 5.
Okay.
So I use a Razer Basilisk, so it's right next to my thumb. So if I do get a malfunction, instead of me pressing Alt T, now I can't move because I'm doing that. It's easier for me to press one button. Got to make your lives easier with key binds.
Yeah, no doubt.
All
right.
With Raiders not even bringing heal items, definitely bring a Salu or AFAC. IFAC, if you know you're not going to get hit as much, but definitely, better be safe than sorry. Bring a Grizzly if you have to.
For sure. All right. Well, thanks so much for the tips today, Guardian. I think everybody learned a lot. I hope all the noobs have a lot of fun on labs. Be careful out there. And
thank you.
Yeah, and Guardian, thanks so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you for interviewing, man. It was definitely fun. Pleasure.
All right. Thank you to Guardian for being our Sherpa today. Go give him a follow. His links are in the description below. And if you're looking for a Tarkov Sherpa yourself, you can find all the details on how to do just that in the description as well. make sure you join their Sherpa Hub Discord too. As I mentioned before, we've done a series of videos with Tarkov Sherpas to learn various aspects of the game. And if there's a specific subject that you want to see covered or a specific Sherpa you think I should reach out to, let me know in the comments below. And let me know whether or not you're having success on labs. You know, hopefully if you're new to labs, this video helped a little bit. You know, if you're a labs main, I'm sure it didn't help at all, but whatever. Hopefully, thanks for sticking it out, I guess. Of course, you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, pretty much wherever you can find Tarkov content. Would love to see you join our Discord as well. All our links are in the description below. And we have a brand new website, tarkovnews.com. Go bookmark it. Thank you to my man Louie for making that. We post all the breaking news on Tarkov whenever that happens, every day if we can. But that's going to do it for this edition of Live from Tarkov. Go divide them cheeks. See y'all next time.